Hi, folks. You're with Tacitus today. Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this radio, audio, no pictures live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the kibbutz, but more generally, this idea of equality, equity within a community. Now, the kibbutz is a microcosm, of course, but it's illustrative, I think, in the difficulties that the human species has had in separating sort of power, responsibility, authority, accountability, and who's going to make decisions, who's going to do the work, who's qualified to do the work. Why should somebody have to do more work than someone else because they're better qualified, and so on. So how do you deal with all that? Now, the kibbutz the concept of it at least has been around for quite some time. Wasn't discovered 5 minutes ago. The different kibbutzes, I don't know if this is the plural of kibbutz, actually, the kibbutzes in say Jewish areas or Israel, say at the moment, they don't necessarily all have exactly the same rules. Conceptually, they're the same, but some may have articles of association or whatever you call it, where they might have some different emphasis on different rules and requirements. They may reflect, for example, the area they're in. Maybe the nearest water hole is a mile away. Maybe it's in the middle of the kibbutz, or so. So there can be various logistical issues that affect who does what. But in terms of making it work, now not all kibbutzes work out. Some have, if you look at take a cursory glance at the history of kibbutzes, some have been singular failures, and others haven't done too bad. Others have done all right for a while and then fell to pieces. Some started off well, but that went south pretty quick. Others struggled at the beginning, but then the situation improved. So it's quite a mosaic here. Nonetheless, let's have a look at it. Now, the idea is that there's no one person or group should assume power or take power, or power should not be entrenched. So there's a rotating management committee, a rotating equivalent of a president, and so on, so that everyone's getting a shot at being in control or being in power. Now, your responsibility is theoretically to everybody else. Everyone's responsible to everybody, and everyone is meant to, in an ideological sense, take that responsibility very seriously. It seems there are some that do and some that don't. Now, on top of that, there's a division of tasks and chores, which falls within sort of the power to direct on one hand and taking the responsibility in another. And responsibility can come in various sort of forms, as in you're responsible to become competent in a certain area of expertise. That could be planting crops or milking the cows or whatever it might be, but some preparing food or something. You have to take on that responsibility to educate yourself. You can rely on the help of others to some extent, but you have to take that responsibility. So, well, I'm going to become a competent milker of cows, and then do that. This is so that no one person ends up with having to milk the cows all the time, because they're the only person who can do it. And if somebody avoids, well, I haven't learned how to milk cows, so I don't have to do it. So it's meant to avoid that sort of thing. So taking responsibility is an ongoing thing. Not only taking responsibility to become competent, but taking responsibility to do the task and do it well, so that others don't have to take up the slack because of your unwillingness or laziness or whatever. Now, then there's accountability. So you don't bother to learn to milk the cows, and you only go at half speed, so other people have to constantly do the work. Why should they have to do twice as much work where you only have to do half as much? If you refuse to sort of work harder or work alongside others to equal measure, should the kibbutz have the power to expel you? And so there are various issues there, and you can see how expulsion and excommunication and these sorts of concepts came about. You don't toe the line, buddy, you're out of here. Now, let's look at it in sort of real practical scenarios. So you've got an apartment in a block of apartments, and there's the committee of all the people who own the apartments there, and anything that has to be done must have a unanimous verdict. And in the case of someone who's absent and who's been advised that the meeting's coming up, and they don't hand, in writing, hand in their vote or turn up for the meeting and don't show cause, then their vote can be ignored. So it can be unanimous of those present, rather than every owner must be there before a decision can be made. Nonetheless, so here's a situation in a block of apartments. Now, there's people are coming, kids are coming around, or whoever are coming around and breaking into the cars, causing a lot of damage and stealing whatever they can lay their hands on. They're really not very discerning. They'll break into old, fucked up cars as well as new cars, and they don't seem to. There's certainly no prejudice in terms of the vehicles that they're selecting. But anyway, they cause a lot of damage. It's many thousands of dollars of damage for people. But the determinant, or the question before the committee is, let's put in security gates into the parking area of the apartments. Now that means that there's a machine going to be put in to raise and lower the garage parking area security gate. But the person who owns the apartment over which that motor would be mounted says that they don't want it, so they veto it, because they don't want the noise of that machinery, the door opening and closing. They don't want that noise coming under the floor of their apartment, so they veto it. Now, even though all these other people are having, and they don't own a car, so they don't care. They've got no skin in this game. And if other people are having their cars broken into on a frequent basis, well, that's their problem, but it's nothing to do with me. So that person can take quite a selfish position that now, you do understand they don't want that noise. There is another design of a security door which would put the motor in a different area, or a different sort of motor, quieter one that can be mounted further away. But that's much more expensive. So that same other owners of the apartments, they veto that. Why should they spend more than they have to? This sort of thing. So in the end, nothing gets done, and the robberies continue, and everyone's sort of cancelling each other out for various reasons. Now, then there's another issue where they're going to when the garbage area was set up, it was when garbage receptacles were quite small. Now the garbage receptacles are much bigger, and so the garbage collectors have to walk quite a distance to get them, and this sort of thing. So they want to create another garbage collection area so that the council garbage truck can pick it. But this is going to be out the front of someone else's apartment, and they don't want that because it's going to be noisy, so they veto that. So you get and there are many other issues there where if one person is being, as they see it, inconvenienced, why should they suffer that inconvenience, even if it's to the benefit of everyone else, unless so they veto it. So people acting selfishly in their own interests to avoid, in this case, inconvenience rather than responsibility necessarily, but they're quite prepared to do that in order to suit themselves. And the same applies in a kibbutz. It turns out that Billie Jean's an expert cow milker, and she's just got a natural aptitude. She is very good at it, and completes it in double time, much faster than anyone else can. What this means in practical reality is that Billie Jean ends up doing most of the cow milking, not because she wants to or because others are refusing, but because she's particularly skilled in that area. So why should she then be given or have it placed upon her simply through her skills and capabilities? Why should she have it placed upon her that she milks the cows or does most of the milking? Same for Billy Bob's expert at planting, potatoes or something. So why others aren't as good? Just aren't as good. It doesn't mean that they're lazy or they don't want to or they're refusing. They're just not as good. Should the kibbutz demand that everyone be as good as Billy Bob in planting potatoes or as good as Billy Jean in milking the cows? Maybe, but by what authority do they force others to do that? You're meant to want to do it. Should anyone be expelled that doesn't toe the line, and so on? So there are various ways somebody may be very good at administration and organisation. That happen. Some people just have a natural talent for that. Should those people be left in positions of, for example, be the president of the committee or something like that? Because through that, they would then acquire undue power over others. Whether that's due to their skill and capability, it may result in that, which is contrary to the concept of the kibbutz, which is this equality thing. So should that person be at the end of their term of I don't know, 3 months, whatever it is, should that the president be taken out, even though they are the best qualified and most able to do it? So the kibbutz is more efficiently run when that person is the president. The next person that goes in there that doesn't really want to do it, isn't very good at it, doesn't particularly want to improve themselves at, so they do a much poorer job of administering the kibbutz. So the kibbutz and everyone in it suffers as a consequence. So you can see here straight away that not only the merit, as in the capability of the people, but the merit of the issue itself and the merits in relation to capability of the people involved, that the best qualified should be doing the assuming they want to do it, doing the administration. The best qualified should do the cow milking, is the best qualified should do the potato planting, and so on and so forth. So where does the kibbutz fall down, or where does the concept of equality, and we come back to communism, Marxism here, and I've always been intrigued as why so many Jews seem to like this idea of equality. It's assuming they maintain their moral authority over everyone else. They seem to love this Marxist concept, and I've always wondered why they do that, or why they're so invested in it. But the tradition of the kibbutz is obviously part of that. But I don't know how well the kibbutz, unless everyone's prepared to step up equally and do their very best and commit fully to the kibbutz is a socialist project, unless they're prepared to commit to that and work selflessly in the interests of others, but not according to their ability. Why should somebody work harder than someone else? What is the point of that? If you receive nothing, not so much that you don't receive anything in return, but that other people can just freeload and free ride off you, that sort of thing. So people go starry-eyed about the kibbutz, but I don't think the problems of responsibility, accountability, all these sorts of things, power sharing, rotating power arrangements, accountability, I don't think they've ever been solved at all. And the only solution, or the best solution, not that it's perfect, it isn't, but the best solution is the merit thing, that the most qualified should be there in the role, with some checks and balances. You don't want Billy Jean saying, well, I've been milking cows for years, busting my ass. Why am I not getting? In return, I want the best qualified person doing the potatoes, the best qualified person doing the administration, the best qualified person, tanning the leather or something. If everyone in the role is the best qualified to do the job of those who are available, and there's checks and balances against despotism, then or petty forms of it, as you might see in something like a kibbutz, that is the most equal, because then the most qualified are delivering the most that they can in all of their respective areas, and thus we all benefit from that that skill and capability, and that becomes the clearest, I think, manifestation of what I would see as equality. There's no equality in getting the least qualified person to be doing something, because then we all suffer as a consequence. Now, you may say, well, that's equity in terms of equal outcomes, but it's definitely not equality. You've been a Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.